Never, ever let that happen again. Let's do it.
How are we talking right now?
Hello and welcome back to Joe's Knows NFL episode 13. We have not been here for 2 weeks, but it's been a good 2 weeks in the NFL, but we're back now for week 13. We're going to go over our rapid fire game picks, some contenders or pretenders, since, the contenders and pretenders are starting to reach themselves away from the other teams in the NFL. And then we're going to go over our hot takes, of course, with a spicy guac take. And he's here, Giacomo Imperiali, Matt Freeman, Richie Zangara, Don Rafina, and me, Jack Hemmel. Let's get right into these rapid fire game picks, starting off with the 4-7 LA Chargers at the 2-9 Patriots. Also to say that Thursday Night Football is playing currently while we're filming. Cowboys are up 17-7.
Yeah, in this game, Patriots got no offense. Don't know what their quarterback situation is going to look like this week. I'll take the Chargers and Justin Herbert.
Yeah, Chargers, very easy.
Yeah, I'll also take the Chargers very easily.
Yeah, I'm going to take a Chargers, but I think this game's going to be close.
Hey, you can't go with the chalk picks. I'm taking the Patriots. I kind of like Bailey Zapp in the quarterback position with a full week of practicing. Give me Bailey Zapp and the Patriots at home. Moving on to the 8-3 Lions after a bad loss to the Packers, going to New Orleans to play the Saints.
Yeah, Lions aren't going to lose 2 in a row. I mean, some people may think they're a little fake, but I think they're pretty legit and they're a good football team. So I'll take the Lions on the road in a bounce back win.
Yeah, the Lions really haven't impressed me too much. Not too many quality wins. And I think going to New Orleans, the Saints are one of the most unpredictable teams in the NFL. So I'm going to take the Saints here in an upset.
I'm going to go with the Lions here. I think they're going to bounce back from last week.
Yeah, these are two pretty weird teams. It's pretty hard to choose, but I'm going to go with the Lions.
Yeah, this was a bad week overall for the Lions with the Jack Harlow concert, but I'll be taking them away in New Orleans to win this one. Moving on, 5-6 Falcons with Desmond Ridder versus one of the worst quarterbacks in the league, 4-7 Jets, Tim Boyle.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really love either of the teams here, but you know what? I'll take the home team here, Jack. I'll take your New York Jets with their great defense.
Yeah, we see Aaron Rodgers is beginning to practice. There's a chance he can come back and play this year. So, I mean, there could be a little bit of buzz surrounding East Rutherford and the New York Jets if they win this game. So I'm going to take them to win at home and maybe a backdoor playoff entry if Rodgers becomes healthy.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with the Jets. I also do think that Trevor Siemian is going to go on in the second half.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Falcons. Finally giving the ball to Bijan. Had a great day against the Saints, and I think he's going to have another great day against the Jets.
I got the Jets winning this one 5-3 with a safety to win it. Moving on to the 2-10 Cardinals, going to Pittsburgh. No Matt Canada. They are looking good versus the Cardinals.
I mean, not really. Kyler Murray balled out in his first game. We've seen that connection with Hollywood Brown and Rondale Moore. I'm really liking this Cardinals team a lot more than other people do. This will be my upset pick of the week. I'll take the Cardinals on the road.
Yeah, I mean, the Steelers have one of the most poverty schedules I've ever seen in my life, but they're going to beat the Cardinals at home.
Yeah, like Matt said, this is probably the most abysmal schedule I've ever seen. I do think that Kyler Murray is going to give them a run for their money, but I do think that the Steelers' defense is really, really good, and I think that's what's going to get them the victory.
Yeah, I mean, come on, give me the Steelers. I mean, Guac, as you said, I think Trey McBride is actually his number one target instead of Marquise Brown and Rondale Moore. But whatever floats your boat, they're getting clamped by Joey Porter Jr. anyway. So give me the Steelers.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game between the two teams, but I think Kenny Pickett looked very good last week throwing the ball over the middle. I expect him to do the same against the Cardinals, winning this one. 6-5 Colts, John and making it to the wild card in the AFC versus the 4-7 Titans.
Yeah, I'm going to shout out Willie K here. Colts if we were still doing locks of the week, mine would be the Indianapolis Colts. All over the Colts in this game. Gardner Minshew is going to have a big day. Colts are going to sneak into the playoffs. Give me the Colts.
I mean, I don't really see how it's such a lock. Maybe you're right, but I think the Colts are going to win. But winning in Tennessee is hard to do, so I don't think it's a lock. But I'm going to go with the Colts by a hair.
Yeah, it's obviously going to be a very close game. I am going to go with the Titans at home. Derrick Henry coming off one of the best games of the season. It's divisional football. It's usually the home team that comes out, and I think that's what's going to that's what's going to happen here.
Yeah, I agree with Matt, and I feel like any team can win this one. It's not really a lock, but I'm gonna go with the Colts as well.
Yeah, I kind of like how Will Levis has been playing recently, and this Colts secondary is not very good. I'll expect them to take that over and win this one at home. Moving on to electric offenses here, 8-3 Dolphins going to Washington, one of the worst teams in the league, versus the Commanders.
Yeah, this will be a blowout. I really don't think this is gonna be close. Sam Howell, I mean, he led the league in passing yards. He's terrible. I don't care about it. That team is just abysmal. They traded their whole defense away. I'll take the Dolphins by a 3-touchdown score win.
Wow. I mean, this Commanders team has been gutted from the trade deadline, no doubt about it. The Dolphins offense is very banged up. 5 players were at least listed on the injury report. I think the Dolphins are going to win, but I think this is going to be a weirdly close game.
Yeah, you guys know what I'm going to say, so I'm not going to say it. Give me the Dolphins here.
Yeah, the Commanders' defense is just way too bad. Give me the Dolphins.
Yeah, actually, the Dolphins to win this one. They only beat teams with losing records, not any with winning ones. So moving on to our 1 of 2 game of the weeks. This one's a good one. Broncos on a 5-game winning streak going to Houston to versus CJ Stroud's Texans, just coming off not a bad loss, but a heartbreaking loss on a game-losing field goal.
Yeah, Broncos country, let's not ride. That winning streak is going to end this week. CJ Stroud's going to have a big week. Texans, again, just one of the teams that's heating up at the right time. They remind me a lot of the Jags last year. So I'm going to take the Texans at home in a big bounce-back win.
Yeah, I'm just going to take the Texans for the sole reason that they're at home. Both of these teams are hot. They're very explosive offensively. I think they're very similar, to be quite honest. I just think the Texans are going to win for the sole purpose that the game is being played at NRG Stadium.
Yeah, when I looked at the score thing, I cannot believe the Broncos are 6-5 right now. But I'm gonna go with the Texans. CJ Stroud obviously been playing incredible. I do think that he's in the MVP conversation, by the way. So I'm gonna go with the Texans at home.
4 words for you guys: Broncos country. Let's ride. That's all I got to say. They're winning this game.
Yeah, Broncos is a team that really relies on the turnover, and this game is not the one they're going to see it from. CJ Stroud handles the ball very well. I think he's going to keep this one and win it for Texans, moving on to 7-5. Next one, 1-10 Panthers just firing Frank Reich, going to Tampa Bay to versus Baker Mayfield's Buccaneers.
Yeah, I mean, with the new coaching staff, I'm not really expecting anything out of Bryce Young in his first game, maybe later in the season, but the Bucs should be able to take care of business at home pretty easily.
This is a complete toilet bowl. I'll take the Bucs, I guess.
I need to see the stats. I feel like every time a new head coach is fired, new one comes in, they win their first game. I'm gonna go with the Panthers in an upset.
Yeah, this is just a terrible game, but I'm gonna take the Bucs.
I agree with Richie. I think whenever there's a new head coach that comes in, I think they win their first game. I think Bryce Young will have a solid game here to beat Tampa Bay. Moving on, 7-4 Browns. Joe Flacco's first game starting versus the Rams.
Yeah, Joe Flacco revenge tour this season. I mean, the defense is obviously going to be able to carry them. We've seen Cooper Kupp get bottled up for a couple of weeks. So I'll take that great Browns defense and Joe Flacco win for the Browns.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to take the Browns as well. I think just a game manager is really all they need. The defense will take care of business. So I think Cleveland's going to take care of business in this one.
Yeah, I also think that the Browns are going to get it done.
Yeah, I'm actually going to take the Rams here. I feel like they've been playing great football recently, and I think they're going to get it done at home.
I'm going to be taking the Browns here. I do like Joe Flacco a lot. I was pulling for the Jets to sign him this year, but they did not. And I think he found a nice place for the Browns. He could probably take that spot over for the rest of the year with Deshaun Watson out. I expect him to move up to 8-4, but man, do we have a game right here. The rematch of the NFC Championship. Purdy went out last year, which wasn't the greatest game, but the 49ers are looking for vengeance. 8-3, going to Philly, one of the hardest places to play, 10-1 Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Lincoln Financial Field being home field advantage. It's just so huge. Eagles, to me, the best team in football. They're just legit battle tested. I'll take the Eagles at home at Lincoln Financial.
Yeah, this is a really tough game to pick here. I'm actually going to go with the 49ers. I think that the gauntlet that the Eagles have had to run through the last 3 games, they played Dallas, Kansas City, and Buffalo, winning all 3 of those games, but all of them were very close, back-to-back weeks. It's just very difficult to win a 4th big game consecutively. So I'm going to go with the 49ers.
Yeah, similar to what Matt said. 49ers have had more rest, obviously. Their starters also played probably 3 quarters. Philadelphia coming off their starters playing 5 grueling quarters. They're gonna be a little bit more banged up, a little tired. But I'm gonna go with the 49ers here.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the 49ers here. I feel like and these are 2 very well-rounded teams. But we've seen Jalen Hurts have turnover problems before, and I think it's gonna happen again.
Yeah, this is really head coach battle as well. Nick Sirianni versus Kyle Shanahan. I'm going to be taking the 49ers here. At some point, the Eagles have to lose one of these games. They have been just squeaking out victories as of late, getting that 10-1 record, but I think they dropped to 10-2 after this one. Sunday Night Football, Kansas City Chiefs going to Lambeau Field to versus 5-6 Packers.
Yeah, I think that this will be a very, very close game, a lot closer than people expect. But the Chiefs are being slept on a little bit. I feel like this year, Travis Kelce's been getting double-teamed every game. We saw Rashee Rice step up in a big way, over 100 yards. He's the rookie. I mean, I think Mahomes is going to work his magic in this Lambeau game, but I think it'll be a very close game, closer than people expect. But I'll take the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'll take the Chiefs pretty big here. The Packers are a little bit banged up, and the Chiefs are just flat out a better squad, so I'll take them.
Yeah, I'll also take the Chiefs in Lambeau.
Yeah, I'm taking the Chiefs.
I'm debating between this run, but I think I'm going to take the Chiefs. I really like the Chiefs defenses here. I think they'll squeak out a win in Lambeau. Monday Night Football, Jake Browning's Bengals after that Joe Burrow injury is not looking good, but they're going to 8-3 to versus Jacksonville.
Yeah, this is one of the games where Trevor Lawrence decides to go absolutely nuclear at home on Monday Night Football. Expecting a huge game out of him. Jags big on this one.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence hasn't really looked very nuclear on many occasions this year. I think the Jags win, but I think this is going to be a pretty tight game.
Feel like we haven't had a good primetime game in a while. I'll take the Jags pretty big here.
Yeah, I agree with Matt here. I think the Jags are going to win, but I would not be surprised if the Bengals come out with this one.
And look, I think the Jaguars are coming off riding high. They're off that big victory against the Texans. And I think the NFL makes no sense. I think the Bengals will win this one. Somehow Jake Browning will lead them to a victory. I don't think they're the better team at all, but I just think that's how the NFL works, and Bengals will win this one. But moving on to our contenders or pretenders. We'll start with Guac first. He's got the Jaguars.
Yeah, we just literally talked about them. It's really hard. So there's been a lot of teams with a lot of tough losses this year. But I decided to take the Jaguars. I mean, last year we saw Trevor Lawrence, right around now is when he started to heat up and that Jags team really started to put it together. Now, stats-wise, Trevor Lawrence has still been top 10 in QBR all year. It's not great. I mean, he hasn't been great, but he still is pretty good. We've seen Travis Etienne's workload just keep going up, and he's just been a bell cow back for this squad. He's been awesome. And then the one thing I want to point out is in the preseason, everyone was talking about how good Calvin Ridley was going to be for this squad. He's kind of been quiet, but he has 5 or more receptions in 4 out of his last 5 games. I mean, his target share is also starting to go up too. 10 targets just 2 weeks ago, which was his season high. So I think that this Jags team, that's on the offensive side of the ball, being slept on a little bit. And then with the defense, I mean, the defense is really getting slept on. Josh Allen has 12 sacks right now. A lot of people don't know that. He's top 5 in sacks. I mean, the defensive unit has been very, very, very good. And the stats are all inflated because they did have that one blow-up game where they got destroyed by the 49ers, which, it happens. I mean, every team has their bad game, and the Jags was against the 49ers. But all in all, I think the Jags are 100% contenders. I think they are 100% an AFC title contender. I think they can get that far.
I mean, my problem with that necessarily, I don't hate it. I disagree. I definitely don't hate it. My problem is when they've played the big time teams, right? They played the Chiefs right in the beginning of the season, right when Chris Jones was coming back, right when Travis Kelce was coming back. I mean, a very banged up Chiefs team and still lost, and it was in Jacksonville. Or excuse me, it was not in Jacksonville, but it was not in Kansas City either. And then you have an absolute blowout against the 49ers. I'm just waiting for them to actually handle a real contending team. I mean, they're splitting with the team like a Texans, which I get is a divisional opponent, but I think that that's the tier that they're on right now. In my eyes, I don't see them in the same category as I see like the Cowboys, like the Chiefs, obviously, and even like honestly, like a team like the 49ers as well. So I just don't see them in that elite tier where they're competing for a divisional or excuse me, a conference championship. I think that they're a step below.
Yeah, to jump in very quickly, the Jags have bottom the bottom half of the league in scoring defense or I'm sorry, points allowed.
Yep.
And they've gotten blown out. Similar to the Steelers, they've gotten blown out to almost every single outside of division, every single team above 500.
I mean, defensively, they're middle of the pack, right? But I mean, Matt, you talk about like the Texans. I mean, the Texans are heating up at the right time too. Same thing. That was a very impressive win, I thought, last week, them beating them. And then that big game you're talking about. I mean, they play the Ravens in 3 weeks on Sunday Night Football. I'll be all over the Jags in that game. I think that that's going to be the game where Trevor Lawrence finally hits his stride, heats up at the right time, like we saw him last year. So I get what you're saying about that strength of schedule, but all signs are pointing in the right direction for the Jags to win that big game and just show and prove once again that they're a legit team, which I think they are.
And that's fine. And I don't necessarily hate the take, but if you're going to say that they're a team that can make the AFC title game, I just think that the gap between them and teams like the Ravens and teams like the Chiefs, I think there's a significant gap there. So, I mean, can it happen? Yes. But like, I don't see them making the jump over those two elite teams in the AFC.
All right. That's fair.
The Jaguars were a quarter away from getting to the AFC Championship game last year versus the Chiefs. Maybe they can do it again this year. But Matt, you're one. This team also I've shown my dislike to.
Yeah, and no doubt I'm right with Jack. He's been on it all year, and I agree with him. I think the Miami Dolphins are a complete pretender. I think that they should not be listed with the elite teams like the Eagles, like the 49ers, like the Chiefs, and like the Ravens. They are not on that level whatsoever. They have done nothing to beat a legitimate team. They just have not done it, right? You look at their wins. Their best quality win is what? A big win against the Jets or a season opening win against a 4-7 Chargers team? None of that impresses me. They got blown out by the Bills that are playing 500 football. They lost to the Chiefs and they lost to the Eagles by a decent amount. They don't have any signature wins whatsoever this year. They haven't seen much of a challenge at all. And I just don't trust, although McDaniels has done a fantastic job. Tua has been playing very well. And obviously Tyreek is looking like the offensive player of the year. But this team just hasn't gotten the job done against a big-time opponent. So I don't understand how you could put them in an elite category of contenders as of right now.
Yeah, Matt, I'm going to hop in real quick and 100% agree with you. I mean, this Dolphins team, I agree that they're very fraudulent. But my point I want to bring out is that their defense just isn't good. They let up a lot of points. And listen, the offense is very good, don't get me wrong, but we saw it in that Chiefs game. They only scored 2 touchdowns, and then the Chiefs were basically dicing up the Dolphins defense all game. I mean, in the playoffs, the Dolphins aren't going to score, 4 touchdowns at least a game. As good and as explosive that offense is, the defense has to step up in a big way, and we haven't seen it out of that Dolphins team yet.
Yeah, and don't get us wrong. We think the Dolphins are going to get in the playoffs. We just don't think there's any chance that they go further than a wild card or a divisional game from that Miami team. But moving on to Rich's team, his own team, he thinks the Ravens are contenders.
Yes, I do. I think that this is the most complete Ravens team we've seen over the years. Todd Monken has really done a lot for this offense. They are 6th in points scored at 324. And even they have the second best points against with 187. Lamar Jackson's having another great MVP caliber season. With Mark Andrews going out, it's a big kind of loss, but we're seeing like Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, and even like that run game really fill in that place for him. and it's been a great offense pretty much throughout the entire year. And I think that this team will make a Super Bowl run.
Yeah, I no doubt agree with you. I think the Super Bowl run, it's slightly iffy. I mean, we'll see what happens in the playoffs, but I think there's no doubt about it. A contending team. They've had, a pretty tough schedule. Those AFC North divisional games are very tough. They do have very quality wins. They beat the Texans. They beat the Bengals with Joe Burrow. They really took care of the Browns and then blew out the Lions and blew out the Seahawks. So they've been doing a fantastic job against real quality opponents. They're showing that they can get it done, honestly, on both sides of the ball. I would like to see a little bit more consistency out of the offense because the defense has been phenomenal most of the year. I just want to see some consistency throughout the entire game. I feel like whenever the defense is firing on all cylinders, the offense is lagging behind. Whenever the offense is firing on all cylinders, the defense is lagging behind. We've seen them work together in unison only a couple times this year, but when we see it, they look like they could be the best team in football, blowing at the Lions and blowing at the Seahawks. So I no doubt about it agree with you. I think the Ravens are total contenders.
Yeah, I'll also hop in for a second. There really is no hot team in the AFC right now. I'd like to point out. I mean, everyone's 8-3. Chiefs, they're just not the same. Like Kelsey's getting doubled. He's not getting the ball. They're not going to win games. Yeah, the defense is good. They're not going to win games. Jaguars, they haven't had any signature wins. Same thing as the Dolphins, and yeah, I really do think that the Ravens they're really really good on both sides of the ball. They're complete. They have signature wins and they have ability to shut down these good offenses.
All right, moving on to what could be a hot take. I think it's going to be one in here. Dom, Steelers as a contender.
Yeah, this is one scrappy team. This is, I'm going to start off. This is a little bit of biasness in here, but I also do think they could definitely win. I'm not talking about Super Bowl contender, but I'm saying I think they could win a game or two in the playoffs. It's going to start. It's going to start from defense. Obviously, T.J. Watt leads the league in sacks, but without Matt Canada, this team is really gonna take a step forward. The last game before hiring Matt Canada, they had over 400 yards, and the game after firing Matt Canada, they had over 400 yards. So I think this offense is really improving. The O-line is playing great right now. And yeah.
Okay, before I rip on this, because this is an absolute joke, no offense, Tom. I will agree with you that I am excited to see what Kenny Pickett is going to be like without Matt Canada. I do think that he was part of the problem, but not the whole problem. Now, before this, absolutely not. The Steelers cannot win a game in the AFC. I mean, if you're going to look at the division winners, they're going to play. I mean, they'll probably be the lowest seed in the AFC, so that's going to pin them against the Jags, maybe. I'm thinking here. If they play really any other team, I'm going to be honest, I really don't care who they play. They're going to lose. They're just not a good team. The defense, super soup. It's, again, just a decent defense. TJ Watt, great for you. Had some lucky turnovers, but those turnover numbers aren't going to be steady throughout the whole postseason. So I'm not too impressed with the defensive side of Joey Porter Jr. And the offense is just so inconsistent. Both your running backs aren't good. I mean, Najee is not a good player. Jalen Warren is okay. This Steelers team is the most fraudulent team in the NFL. They're just not a good team. So, I mean, they'll make the playoffs, sure. I don't see them really beating any team in the AFC playoff picture at all.
So most of what you just said is a complete fallacy. So you said the Steelers have an okay defense. They're actually top 5 in scoring defense this year with a piss-poor offense, an offense that has had the defense on the field more than almost any team in the NFL, and they're still top 5 in scoring defense. This is easily a top 5 to top 3 defense in the league, no doubt about it. So that completely wrong. Then let's turn the page and look. This is a bit of a new offense. The offense looked a little bit more explosive last week with the departure of Matt Canada. So it is a definite work in progress, no doubt about it. But what the Steelers have shown is that they can really beat anyone and they can lose to anyone. So the idea that they can win a game in the playoffs is not far-fetched at all. They beat the Ravens. I get it's a divisional opponent, but this is the type of team that the Steelers are. They're going to be able to wear teams down and slowly win some games and take down some juggernauts in the AFC. So I really don't understand what the problem is with Dom's take, Guac, because it seems totally fine to me.
You look at the AFC playoff picture, I don't see them beating any of the teams in the playoffs. That's my main problem. Every team in the AFC playoff picture is 100% better than them, in my opinion.
Well, the Ravens are in the AFC playoff picture, right?
Yeah, they're better than the Steelers, 100%.
We already beat them.
The Ravens this year.
It's an in-division opponent. It was in what, week 4?
So
It'll be in division in the playoffs.
You
Yeah.
can't.
I
You
know.
just said
I'll take the
Division
Ravens in the
doesn't change.
rematch. I'll be all over the Ravens.
okay, but you said they can't beat a team in the AFC.
They're not going to. I'm telling
They
you,
are-
they're not going to.
Okay. They can't, and they're not going to. One is your opinion, and one is a fact. It's not a fact. They already beat a team in the AFC playoff picture. Actually, probably one of the best teams in the AFC. So that's just incorrect. But I'll swing it to Dom.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you say our running backs are terrible is
They're
just
so bad.
blowing my mind right now. Because these past couple weeks, we might have had the best running back core in the league. Like Jalen Warren has been going
No.
absolutely bananas. Najee, he hasn't been playing that great, but last game, 15 carries, 99 yards, and a touchdown. The O-line is working with the running backs. It's going great right now. And you're saying we have an inconsistent defense. I mean, look at Joey Porter Jr.'s stats. Like
I said he's good.
the past 7 games, we've held our opponents to 20 or less. So this is definitely going to come from the defensive side, but I could see them winning. I can see them winning 1 or 2 games easily.
Also, what I would like to add is you say the running backs are bad. I think it's easily one of the high points of this entire offense. So I disagree with that heavily. Also, the Steelers have been in dogfights pretty much all year. Their offense has not been very successful, so the running game naturally will be more clogged. And yet they're 14th in the league in rushing yards per game. So clearly the running backs are doing their job. Jalen Warren is near top of the league in yards per carry. Najee Harris obviously exploded last week, again, with the departure of Matt Canada. So the running backs have been fantastic. You said the defense was mediocre, or whatever word you said. It was an okay defense. The defense is top 5. I'm not saying this is the best team in the AFC, not by any stretch of the imagination, but this really is not a blasphemous take to say that they can win a game in the playoffs.
All right, I'll take the Cardinals. I'll take the Cardinals.
So, I was going to say, you're saying we're going to end up being the last seed in the playoffs. I mean, we're
you're
probably
the
going to
6
end
or
up
7 seed in the playoffs.
We're probably going to end up with 10, 11 wins. Whether you like it or not, that's how easy our schedule is.
Yeah,
it's true. I hate to break it to you, but it's true. We have one of the easiest schedules in the league. But so we're not going to be the last seed. And I think I'd be happy to play the Jaguars in the playoffs. I think we could easily take them any day.
Okay, I'll take the Jaguars by double digits in that game if that happens.
Well, Guac is 40% on the year on picks, so maybe you want to take the Steelers there at home. But moving on to mine, I'm going to take the Packers Contenders for the wild card. All right, right now they're way outside of it. They're 5-6, third in the NFC North. But look, they're on a 2-game winning streak, and the rest of their schedule is not that good. Yes, home Chiefs is going to be a hard game. After that, away Giants, home Buccaneers, away Panthers, away Vikings, home Bears. All very easy games to win for the Packers. Jordan Love, ever since I think the owner came out and said this might be Jordan Love's last year if he keeps playing like this, he has been playing amazing under pressure from the whole front office that I've been talking about. They want him out if he's not playing good. The wide receiver core, very young, but been playing very, very good. You saw in that Lions game, you go to Detroit on a Thanksgiving game. That is Detroit's game to win every time. 8 players on the injured report list for the Packers, and they win it convincingly. I think that shows why this Packers team can make a run for the wild card and get in. And look, Matt LaFleur is a great head coach in the playoffs. He's brought his team to the NFC Championship many, many times. Maybe they can win a game in the wild card.
Yeah, I honestly really like it, to be completely honest with you. I'm not going to, go ahead and lay my neck out on the line that it's going to happen. But obviously last week's performance on Thanksgiving was very convincing against a clear playoff team in the Detroit Lions. So it's a little hot, but I like it.
All right, so we're going to move into our hot take time. Of course, this is originated from a spicy guac take. So, Guac, you can go first.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of stole a little bit of my firepower there, but I'm also going to talk about the Green Bay Packers. I think that they're making the playoffs.
I be riding through my old hood, but I'm in my new whip. Same old attitude, but I'm on that new shit. They say they gon' ride me, see me never do nothing, cause they know that's the.
Oh, I don't know how that got out there. You can go. You're good.
Okay. Yeah, Jack stole a little bit of my firepower at that one, but I'm also going to be talking about the Packers. I think that the Packers are a legit playoff team. Jack mentioned the absolute cupcake schedule they have after they play the Chiefs this week. Very, very winnable games the rest of the year out. I want to bring up some different numbers, though, that Jack didn't bring up. Josh Dobbs threw 4 picks against the Bears, which made the Vikings look pathetic. So I really am not thrilled with the quarterback situation in Minnesota right now. And stats-wise, I mean, the one thing I really want to point out is obviously Jordan Love stepped up his game a lot. But Christian Watson, who was such a huge part last year in that Packers offense, finally seeing the target share. He has 7 or more targets in 4 out of his last 5 games. I mean, Jaden Reed's been the guy to step up, but Christian Watson is the number 1 receiver on that team for a reason. So him getting that target share is good. And on the defensive side of the ball, Rashawn Gary has 9 sacks, Preston Smith has 6. So this Packers defense is also slept on as well. Bottom 5 in touchdowns allowed. So I'm a lot higher on this Packers team than a lot of people are. I'm not going to go crazy and say they make a run in the playoffs, but I definitely think that, they're a legit playoff team with a chance to win a game in the NFC.
Okay. Legit playoff team. They're not even in the playoff picture.
Yeah, I know.
When Jack said, they could potentially make a run, I could get behind that. There's a chance they can make a run, whatever.
I'm pretty much saying the same thing as him. They're a 6 or 7 seed. Like they
might be a 9 or 10 seed with how it's going on right now. I mean, they're not in the playoff picture.
They have a cupcake schedule. If you look at the rest of the schedule, they don't play anywhere. They play the Chiefs this week. I mean, and then after that, it's just free wins. They play the Giants, Buccaneers, Panthers, and Bears, and then
2 divisional games.
2 divisional games. Yeah, I mean, those are always 50-50. I mean, it's also the NFL, right? It's very unpredictable, and especially with the Green Bay Packers team that has looked more unpredictable than anyone, really. I mean, they beat the Bears. They looked great in week 1. Then they go ahead, lose to the Falcons. Then they beat the Saints. Then they lose 4 in a row. I mean, you can't really tell what the Packers are going to do. I can confidently tell you that they're not going to win a playoff game if they make it. But I agree with you and Jack in the sense that there's a chance they can make a run and sneak into the playoffs. So agree in this.
Yeah, and the one thing I just want to point out real quick is that Jordan Love looked awesome against the Lions team that I think is pretty good. Some people may not be as high on them as I am, but they're going to be one of the top seeds in the NFC. They're a pretty good team, and Jordan Love looked awesome in that Lions game on Thanksgiving. I think he's going to continue to step up that game. He's been on fire recently.
I think you're really, putting out this Vikings team. I understand Josh Dobbs had a terrible game against a division team, but 2 of those interceptions were dropped passes right through the hands. But also I'd like to say, they have bye this week. They're getting the best wide receiver in the NFL back on their team. I don't really see the Packers winning that game. And honestly, I don't even see them beating the Bears either. Justin Fields, he's been playing pretty good. So it's gonna be tough for the Packers to be able to make the playoffs.
Matt, you can go next.
Yeah, so my hot take, it's a little bit frisky. Some people aren't going to be too happy, but you know what? I'm pretty confident in it. I'm going to say that for this year, the top 2 players in MVP voting, in whichever order you'd like, are CJ Stroud and Dak Prescott. The man that was supposed to be benched on week 10 is currently playing like the MVP of the league. I think those are the 2 best quarterbacks, 2 most valuable players for this year.
Listen, as much as I hated on Dak earlier in the season, I'll be honest, he 100% proved me wrong. The turnover issues that I saw coming didn't come back, and he has looked like an MVP quarterback. I'm 100% in agreement with this. I've been on the CJ Stroud train since week 1 with you, Matt. I thought that Texans team was good. And Dak has 100% proved me wrong, exceeded all expectations I've had for him. So I will 100% agree with that.
Dom?
Yeah, You know, I love that take. I absolutely love it. Dak Prescott is the MVP. I mean, Jalen Hurts. Let's be real. Wins are a team. They're a team stat. Dak Prescott is the MVP. Absolutely balling recently. I'm not. I'm not the biggest Stroud guy, but but you could definitely make a point for him being MVP. I'm not saying he's not, but I would definitely prefer Dak over him.
All right, Richie, you can go with your take.
All right, my hot take is Keaton Mitchell will be the RB1 next year for the Baltimore Ravens. He is obviously over the last 3 games. He's been unbelievable, scoring touchdowns in every single one of them. He scored 2 of them in that Seattle game. He's obviously a speed demon, and I think that Gus Edwards is gone.
Yeah. So, I mean, Rich, this is just a confusing one, to be completely serious with you. I think the Ravens, they're very dedicated to the run game, and J.K. Dobbins and his injury troubles have been extraordinarily unfortunate. He was an incredible talent coming out of college. He was a Buckeye, so maybe I'm a little biased, but no doubt about it, he was an incredible talent. Went down with injury, total shame. But I think now it's time to move on, and it's clear that Harbaugh and the Ravens are committed to having a strong rushing attack, and that starts with Lamar Jackson, but then also the RB1. And I just don't think that Keaton Mitchell is going to be the guy to bring it home. I think Derrick Henry is a big target in the offseason, and then I think there's a lot of running backs that are draftable for the Ravens in the 2nd to 3rd to 4th round. So I think that they're going to make an acquisition either in the draft or in free agency.
Yeah, I kind of feel like this is just the most random thing, like ever. I mean, like he could be. He's good, but it's just really random. It's tough.
All right, Dom, you can go with your take.
Oh, I got 4 words for you. Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos are Super Bowl contenders.
Oh.
Broncos are Super Bowl contenders.
Broncos Vikings.
That might be worse than mine.
We're talking hot takes. I'm making it hot. All right, this is getting hot. All right, Russell Wilson is playing like a top 7 QB right now. Defense has had its struggles early in the season, but I think they're picking it up. But I really think they can get this done. 5-game win streak. They're getting hot, and they're gonna stay hot. They're beating the Texans, as I already said earlier. I love this team. I love it.
Yeah, it's kind of like they weren't hot, but now they're not. But I mean, this Broncos team, they confuse me a lot. They're gonna go to Houston this week and get smacked by the Texans, and that win streak is gonna end. I think that the Broncos are a good team, a 100% playoff team, but to say they're Super Bowl contenders is just an absolute joke to me. In the AFC, you got the Ravens, you got the Chiefs, you got the Jags. I mean, there's just too many good teams for the Broncos to even sniff the Super Bowl, in my opinion.
I mean, wait, hold on, Matt. I know you're about to say something, but Glock, you're saying the same thing about the Steelers. It's just, I understand there's some good teams in the AFC, but honestly, right now it's up for grabs. I don't see a really super dominating team like the Eagles or 49ers or even Cowboys, you could say sometimes, but the other, they're not. There's no one that dominating in the AFC, so I think they could get it done, and they've already beaten the Chiefs, already beaten the Bills. They've beaten great teams already, so.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Look, you look at it. The Broncos have beat good teams the past 5 games. Beat the Packers, Chiefs, Bills, Vikings, and Browns. There's no reason why they can't be one of the better teams in the AFC and make a playoff run. It's just Super Bowl contention is a little too far.
It's supposed to be hot. It's pretty hot. I mean, Glock, you're saying the Packers are, this and that. It's beat them. I mean, they're just a great team. Browns probably top 5 defense. Would we all agree? They're up there.
I would say so.
They're up there. Russ cooked them. He cooked them. So that's just how it's going to be.
All right, we'll end it off with my hot take. There's a lot of good quarterbacks in the league. There really is. You can name a bunch of them, but I think Brock Purdy deserves to be in the top 10 list, and I don't know why anybody's fighting it anymore. Look, I think we can all agree that Jalen Hurts is a top 10 quarterback. I think everybody will say that. You compare their stats, Purdy's stats, 2,800 yards, 19 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and a 112 passer rating. Jalen Hurts passing stats, 2,600, 18 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and a 94 passer rating. That's Brock Purdy has better passing stats. And everyone wants to talk about how Brock Purdy has all the weapons around it, but they don't realize is that this offensive line is actually very overrated. PFF rates them number 21. Statistically, they're 22 on the season. They're bottom half of the league in pass and block rush win rate. They are very overrated due to Trent Williams. The rest of their O-line is not good. They're all graded under 60. And you look at a guy, like I just said, Jalen Hurts is the number 1 PFF offensive line, a top 5 in the league pass and rush win block rate. Yes, he has the weapons in Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. He has Kyle Shanahan, but he's playing behind a battle line. And I don't think this would be a question to anybody if Brock Purdy was a first-round pick. If Brock Purdy came into this league as a highly talented prospect, nobody would be questioning this. It's just that he came in as the last pick in the draft. And that's why everybody doesn't think he's a top 10 pick, because he's in the Shanahan offense.
I mean, I would 100% agree. When Brock first came into the league and he had that run, little concern. I was like, okay, he could fall off. And then this year, I mean, he's just been so consistent. Really hasn't had a bad game this season. So, I'm pretty much on board with this Brock Purdy take. I think he's a very good quarterback, and I think he's right around the top 10 as well.
I mean, the whole he hasn't had a bad game narrative has got to be thrown in the garbage, because, I mean, we're looking at, let's go back 4 and 5 weeks ago to 4 weeks ago to the Bengals game. They lose 31-17. He's thrown 1 touchdown, 2 picks, not a very strong showing. They lose that one. That doesn't seem to be a strong game. And then they're playing a very porous Vikings defense. And again, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. I don't really see how that's correct necessarily. But on the other hand, Jack, your stats, they, very impressive for Brock Purdy. To be honest with you, they drag Jalen Hurts down more than they do lift Brock Purdy up, because you're right. Both of them are in phenomenal situations. Brock Purdy is putting up numbers and Jalen Hurts is putting up numbers. But Brock Purdy is seen as, a borderline top 10 quarterback, and Jalen Hurts is seen as one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Just really quick, I'll run them off very quickly. The quarterbacks that I think that are better than Brock Purdy, that, let's say, better or in the conversation to be better. So I'm going to say Josh Allen, Tua, Lamar, Burrow, Stroud, Trevor Lawrence, Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes. I would say Kyler Murray's in that discussion. I would say Jared Goff is in that discussion, even though he's been very poor recently. And then Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts. So he's easily, with no doubt about it, a top 12, top 14 quarterback. I would put him in the top 10 personally, but just rattling off my head, I think he's a fringe top 10 guy.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a debate for him not to be top 10. I just think it's the thing that, if he was a first-round pick, I think there's no doubt in anybody's mind that he would be a top 10 quarterback. It's just that he came into the league very unprospected. But that'll do it for us for Joe's Nose, episode 13. You can follow us on TikTok, St. Joe's Sports Shows. You can watch our last video on Dom's Head and subscribe to our channel on Richie's Head. But for Matt Freeman, Giacomo Pirelli, Richie Zangara, Dom Ruffino, and me, Jack Kemmler, thanks for watching.